You have people on your team who are showing up every day, hitting meetings, responding to messages, and still something is off. They are physically present, but cognitively and emotionally, they have already stepped back. This is where most organizations misdiagnose the problem. They assume it is motivation, engagement, or even attitude. But what is actually breaking down is perception and internal decision making. Let me show you what this looks like in behavior. The first signal is reduced discretionary thinking. The employee stops questioning, stops challenging, stops offering perspective. They execute, but they are no longer think with you. Second, you will see a shift in ownership language. It moves from "I'll handle this" to "just tell me what you want." This is not compliance. This is withdrawal. Third, responsiveness becomes mechanical. Tasks are completed, but without context awareness. Deadlines are met, but quality of judgment drops. Fourth, emotional flatlining. Not burnout in the dramatic sense. No visible breakdown. Just a quiet narrowing of energy. Less presence in conversations, less engagement in outcomes. And this is where leaders get it wrong. They wait for performance to drop, but by the time performance drops, the employee has already made an internal decision to disengage. This is what people call quiet quitting. But that language is misleading. Nothing quiet is happening internally. The person has already recalibrated their level of investment. Now, here is the important part. This is not primarily a workload problem. It is not solved by perks, benefits, or even time off. This is a perception problem. Somewhere along the line, the employee has lost clarity on one of the three things: what matters, how decisions are being made, or whether their thinking actually influences outcomes. When those collapse, people stop bringing their full cognitive capacity to work. Not because they don't care, but because it no longer makes sense to. So what do you do as a leader? You don't start with motivation. You start with recalibrating how they are seeing the system they operate in. You ask questions that restore thinking. Where are you second-guessing decisions right now? What feels unclear or inconsistent in how we are operating? Where do you feel your input is not changing outcomes? These are not engagement questions. These are perception questions. Because if you can restore clarity, you restore ownership. And when ownership comes back, engagement follows naturally. We operate at this level, not behavior on the surface, but the thinking underneath that drives it. Because people don't disengage randomly. They disengage when their internal model of the system stops making sense. And if you can see that early, you don't just retain employees, you retain their thinking. And see you later, alligators.